Let's have a Q&A, shall we? Why not? Let's just have one, because it's fun, because Ethan is in Pittsburgh.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, folks? How we doing? Welcome back to the Locked On Pirates podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, your Pittsburgh Pirates every day. My name is Ethan Smith. You can follow me right there on my lower third at MVP_Ethan or at Locked On Pirates for all of your news, analysis, opinions, and reactions to everything going on in the world of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And speaking of the city of Pittsburgh, Ethan is here. I am in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as we speak. And by the way, I didn't use a car to get here. Somebody had to pick me up, but very nice car because they use eBay Motors to keep that thing running and keep that ride their MVP. So make sure you check out eBay Motors. We'll have more on them later. David Patterson was here before the show even started. Excited for the show. Welcome back to the 412. Yeah, man, I'm excited, dude. I don't know if I'm going to really get any sleep tonight with going to this game tomorrow. I'm loving the weather. If you guys didn't know this about me, I love the cold. Even though I've lived in the South for pretty much my entire life, I love the cold. Shout out, by the way, to Michael, one of our wonderful people over at Steel City Pirates, where I had a story the other day on Joey Bart. Go check that out and everything that I had to offer in terms of what I thought about the Joey Bart acquisition and what the Pirates did. Pirates play here pretty shortly. It's 3:30 right now. They play their final game of the Washington Nationals series before coming home to the 412 for the first time this year. Also, by the way, the mustache, man, it has just been growing and growing and growing, and I'm keeping it. And tomorrow, by the way, on the show, I'll be sharing where I will be at. The show tomorrow will be coming out relatively early in the morning. I'm getting downtown pretty quickly for this game tomorrow. I think it's going to be very fun. Harper, man, we'll get to your first question since this is a Q&A show. Are the Pirates doomed now that we lost? No. I am actually kind of relieved that they got that first loss out of the way finally, because I didn't want them to think that they were just an unbeatable team that was going to go 162-0. And really, even in that loss, they didn't get like overpowered, really. It was just Mitch Keller still trying out a new pitch, still trying out something that I think he just probably needs to eliminate right now. It also does appear that today's game will be delayed, according to the MLB.com app. It does appear that we're going to have a delay. Talking about the game a little bit yesterday, I got to rewatch it after the game. Didn't really get to see much live. Mitch Keller and that cutter, man. I just don't know if it's a pitch that's going to really work for him. I don't think it's something that he's going to be able to rely on, at least at this current juncture. Maybe it's something that he can work on throughout the season. I would like to see him go back to the mix of things that really works. I would like to see him just be the guy that they extended. And so far through the first two starts of the season, he just hasn't been that. And I hope that he comes back to that, because I don't want to have that conversation about Mitch Keller. I really don't. That's not a conversation that I want to have and a dialogue that I want to have about Mitch Keller. But outside of Mitch, things weren't too bad. Obviously, all the runs were surrendered during Mitch's outing in 5 1/3. Hunter Stratton and Josh Fleming both had strong days. The bullpen has just continued to be a very strong unit for this team thus far. I think will continue to be a strong unit for this team. So throughout the season, obviously, as you see, Pirates, I mean, Majinski and Holderman aren't even here yet, and this bullpen has just been absolutely phenomenal to start the season through the first 6 games. You just need to get some more production out of your starters. Should Keller try knuckleball? No, he's not Matt Waldron. I don't want to see him become Matt Waldron. David Patterson asked his first question of the day. Sure, it won't be the last from David. Love you, David. When should we start to be concerned about Money Mitch? Through the first 2 starts, I wouldn't be all too worried about it. There are obviously some warning signs. The command on his cutter and just really his pitches in general has just not been there. And having a 6.55 ERA through your first two starts, especially after getting that extension, is just not something that I really expected. I mean, my entire show yesterday was, or the whole first segment at the top of the show yesterday was about how I thought he was going to rebound in that game yesterday. It just didn't happen. He just didn't rebound in that game at all like I thought he would. And it's something that I wish he had done. It's something that I wish the Pirates would have seen from him. And again, with this strong bullpen, all you're really hoping from these starters is that you get 5 or 6 strong innings from these guys. I think that's all you really want to see. That's all you're really hoping that you get. And yeah, it's something that for a guy like Mitch, it's still very early. A lot of these pitchers are still getting their feet under them. Not everybody can be Shane Bieber or Garrett Crochet to start the season. Those two guys over in the AL Central have had phenomenal starts to the year. Everybody can't be those guys. And I mean, for a guy like Mitch, I do hope that he turns it around because, again, it's not a dialogue that I want to have about him. It's not a thing that I want to talk about when it comes with Mitch Keller. I don't want to talk about his extension being a bad idea. I don't want to talk about Mitch Keller struggling throughout the entire year. Now, as far as your question goes, if this happens throughout the entire month of April, then I think there's cause for concern. If this is something that by the end of the month, Mitch Keller doesn't have figured out, and it's something that we're all staring down and he just really hasn't looked at anything yet, or looked the part of what he looked like last year, then that's when I think you could start getting worried about Mitch. You think I was 0 for 3 on my Mitch predictions yesterday? Yeah, pretty sure I was 0 for on Mitch Keller's predictions for him yesterday for that start. And Harperman says, if we were facing Oakland this year, do you think we'd sweep them unlike Cleveland being humiliated in that one game? Well, we do face the Athletics this year. I believe it's actually later this month, if I'm not mistaken. We face every team this year. So every game's different. We saw what happened when we played Oakland last year. We struggled a pretty good bit against the Athletics. And, sometimes those teams are just going to outmatch you for 3 games. And hopefully that doesn't happen for a Pirates team that does have aspirations to win this division and does have aspirations for a potential division championship or a wild card berth with how things are going. So you hope that, right now that when they do face teams like the Nationals, and we'll see you later today, hopefully, if this delay does allow the game to be played, that they find a way to win this series, because it's a series that really this Pirates team should win. You look at some of these teams that they're going to face around the league this year, like, let's just say, for instance, the Colorado Rockies, the Oakland Athletics, the Chicago White Sox. I mean, they're going to play all these teams, and those are going to be games where you're going to want them to win. I mean, you would love a sweep, but you're obviously going to want to walk away from games like that winning the series. That's not something that you're going to want to think about and look back on when the Pirates are deeper into the season and saying, oh, we're 3 games behind so-and-so. Well, let's go look back at that Oakland series, and then they lost 2 games or something like that. So I hope that doesn't happen later today with the Washington Nationals in this series. I hope the Pirates handle business before facing Baltimore tomorrow. And Joseph, I'll hit your question before we hit our first break. When do I personally think that Paul Skeens will be up? It's very interesting. I saw somebody the other day share something about Steven Strasburg and how many innings he pitched in the minor leagues. I do think the Pirates are saving his pitch count quite a bit. In his first start with the Indianapolis Indians, he only went 3 innings. So that was nice to see, obviously, see him pitch very well, looked very good. I don't think he'll come up in April, but if he is just mowing guys down in AAA, looking like the unstoppable force that he was at LSU, looking like the number 1 overall pick guy coming out of LSU that he was in this potentially generational pitching prospect, May seems about right. Some people who have more credibility than I do have also said that May is a good talking point for when we're going to see a guy like Paul Skeens. A lot of people believe that's when we're going to see a guy like Paul Skeens. And I think that is a pretty good timetable. I would expect it the middle or later in May. maybe a little bit early June, but he will be up here this year. Bailey Falter's in the rotation right now. That should tell you all you need to know about Paul Skeens potentially being in this rotation at any point. And we're going to continue to keep monitoring Skeens. I think they're going to monitor his innings relatively well. And it makes for fun tomorrow, too. I mean, Jared Jones is going to get the start in the home opener. Skeens is going to be right after him in Indianapolis. I believe Bubba Chandler is pitching in Double-A Altoona. So a lot of future pitching prospects pitching tomorrow on Friday, which we'll probably be talking about at length on the show tomorrow before I head downtown. Folks, before we continue with all of your questions here on this Q&A pregame show, I want to let you guys know about eBay Motors. They have millions of parts for your MVP, and you can win every time with parts that fit your ride. eBay Motors is all about passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships and also what keeps your ride or die alive. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. And folks, also, if you're still looking for tickets to tomorrow's sold out home opener against the Pittsburgh Pirates, where it seems like we're going to have some pretty fun weather to go along with it as well, make sure you hit up Game Time, because if you download the Game Time app today and use code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off, you get that $20 off with a minimum $150 purchase, because Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. So with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You could save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You also get the lowest price guarantee, because if you don't get the lowest price, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Terms apply for this, by the way. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more from March 25th to April 14th. Again, that is FIRSTPITCH, first pitch. That's your code to get $20 off any $150 purchase at Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, folks. Again, Ethan is here. He's in the Berg. He's ready for tomorrow. He's ready to meet all yinz, by the way. I am, like, again, I don't know if I'm getting sleep tonight, because going to Pirates opening day has been something that's been on my bucket list forever. I'm very excited to hopefully meet a lot of you that tune into this show every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. You're the best fans that a podcast host could ask for. If you want to see more of me, by the way, in about T-minus an hour and 15 minutes, I'll be on the Pirates Fan Forum with Jim Stam and Gary Morgan talking about stuff during the game, talking about all different types of Pirates topics. So that'll be a fun little thing for me as well. Obviously, tune in tomorrow. I'll have a show in the morning. I'll be downtown. Going to be fun. Joseph asked thoughts on the new Renegade hot dog on PNC. I love pot roast. I love hot dogs. I love pierogies. I don't like cucumbers, and I don't like pickles. So if you take the pickles and basically take the green stuff off of it, I'll eat it. Now, am I going to pay for it? No. Somebody wants to buy one for me tomorrow. Sure. You want to split it? Great. We'll split the price. We'll split the hot dog. I don't think I'm going to eat it. I don't think I'm going to eat that whole thing, but it looks interesting. I did like that they also misspelled pickles on the little thing on the side, and also pierogi is both singular and plural. So yeah, you got to make sure that that's a thing too. David, with his second question of the day, how does Skeens fast track to MLB affect Solometo and Chandler? I don't really know if it has much effect on Solometo and Chandler, because I do expect that Skeens is going to be up no matter what this year. I think Solometo and Chandler are going to be guys that you're going to be looking at more in 2025. I don't think either of those guys has a chance to debut this year. Now, obviously, being a Double-A Altoona, it is a little bit different. We've also seen a lot of call-ups from Double-A. We saw Henry Davis get called up from Double-A. We've seen that already happen. but I don't think that's the case with Solometo and Chandler. Those guys still have a lot of developing to do. They're obviously very talented pitchers, but I don't think that you see those guys just yet in 2024. So I don't really think with anything with Paul Skeens debuting this season, I don't think it has much effect on those guys all that much. Ryan Brinker, how do you think the Pirates series against the Orioles will go? Who do you think is going to win the series? I also see that it looks like you have a Maryland picture, so I'm going to give my unbiased take on this. Baltimore's a very talented team. I think it's also going to just be an overall fun series anyway, because it felt like every other day in spring training that those two teams were playing each other. So they should be relatively familiar with each other. The pitching matchups, I think, should offer some pretty fun stuff. Obviously, I believe you get Grayson Rodriguez and Jared Jones tomorrow, so that should be a pretty fun one. So we'll get Rodriguez and Jones. Looks like we get Tyler Wells versus Bailey Falter. And then you get Kremer versus Gonzalez. So I think it'll be a pretty fun series. Both of these teams have a lot of young talent all over the place. You look at the Pirates, for instance, Henry Davis, O'Neal Cruz, Jack Sawinski, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Henry Davis, Jared Triolo, even if you want to throw him in that conversation. For the Orioles, you obviously have Rushman. You have, why can't I think of his name all of a sudden? Wow. Well, the Orioles have a lot of prospects, too, that are also highly touted, more highly touted than the Pirates. I don't know why. Gunnar Henderson. There we go. That's who I was thinking of. I was like, I know who I'm thinking of. I just couldn't think of his name off the top of my head. Not really sure who's going to win the series. I think a lot of that's going to come down to the pitching for the most part. So we'll see what happens. But I do think that both of these teams are very, very familiar with each other. And I do see that you're saying that you are an O's fan and going to the game Saturday. Yeah, PNC is a beautiful ballpark, man. Beautiful enough to be tattooed right there on my chest. Obviously, the Clemente Bridge tattooed right there on my forearm. Guys, I've been up since 5 a.m. today. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be an overall fun series between two teams that should be relatively familiar with each other, and it should be fun. Matthew says, how many ICs Yinz gonna have at the game? Yeah, that should be documented heavily by everybody and make it very fun. David Patterson says over under 0.5 heart attacks caused by the renegade dog tomorrow. It's a tough one. I don't know. You get some IC lights in some of these people that are going to go to the game, and I don't think it's going to really affect them all that much. Joseph Mondi asks, who most underrated prospect in the system at the moment? I think Josiah Seitler has to be up there. I know he's disappointed so far in his time with Pittsburgh since being acquired from the Cardinals, but Malcolm Nunez, I think, is up there. Poyo Chen, another guy that I think is going to be a kid that's going to be really good. And I'd even go as far to say that Jack Brannigan is a guy that is very underrated. I know he's top 10 in the system. I think he has the chance to be a real MLB contributor in a couple years. I think it's something that I look very much forward to watching that kid play. Sung Sheshang, I think he's going to be very good as well. As far as underrated goes, though, I'd say either Josiah Seitler or Malcolm Nunez. Obviously, Shaylin Polanco, throw him up in there. Johnny Severino, I'm excited to see what we get from him in the lower levels. Esteury Sorio, hopefully we get Estuar Sorio. There we go. Hopefully we get to see some good things from him. There's a lot of good stuff to like in this system, and especially I know a lot of the focus goes to Altoona and especially Indianapolis right now with Paul Skeens and Piguero and Gonzalez and all those big guys being there. Take a gander at Bradenton and Greensboro every once in a while just to kind of catch up on some of these names. That way, when they do come up to Altoona or come up to Indianapolis and start really making it through the system, that those guys do have a at least some idea of what they're going to turn into. David Patterson says, I know this is not a team built around power, but do you have any concern with the lack of home runs so far? Not really. Obviously, we saw them lead spring training in home runs. Home runs just come in all kinds of sort of ways. Miami, not the biggest home run park. Nationals Park, kind of iffy on it. The weather has definitely been a factor in some of these games in Washington, not so much in Miami. Pirates, of course, just mentioning, by the way, to confirm that today's game in Washington will be delayed due to inclement weather. We will provide updates when they become available. So having to wait a little bit longer for some Pirates baseball today. Hopefully the game does get played. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm not really too concerned about the power because I think power, when you say that this team's not built around power, I think it is. And power isn't just home runs. I know a lot of people tend to think that power is just a home run stat. It's not. We've seen a lot of extra base hits from this team. We've seen Brian Hayes have a good bit. Henry Davis has obviously had a good bit. Brian Reynolds. We've seen Michael A. Taylor have some good hard to hit baseballs. Exit velocity, I think, is more of a dictation of being built around power than, say, home runs nowadays. Now, I know home runs are obviously a big component to power. They are obviously one of the biggest components to power, but I don't think it's the be-all, end-all of what this team is. And I do think it's a balanced offense. So you saying that it's not really built around power is fine, but I do think the offense is balanced enough to where the home runs will come along. Harperman says one thing I noticed is we show all our World Series wins on one specific top wall thing at PNC Park. Do you think we should waive World Series wins on flags instead? I think it's fine on the wall. The flags to me sometimes can get a little annoying. Just, I just think there's, something that can try to think of how I want to word this. I think the wall is fine. The wall is something that you don't really have to worry about repairing all that much with some of the weather that they've had in Pittsburgh lately. Charlie Williamson, hello, sir. Good afternoon to you as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned should you be of Mitch Keller? Right now, I'm at about 4 or 5. I think I'm in the middle. It's been 2 starts. It's beginning of the year. He has plenty of time to figure it out. He's obviously trying a new pitch in the cutter that's just not working for him right now. It's something that if it becomes something of a trend 4 or 5 starts in, then that concern level goes from a 4 to 5 to like an 8 or a 9. But for now, I'm going to pump the brakes on being concerned and hope that Mitch can figure it out. We're going to get back to more of your questions and then wrap up this show here shortly. But before we do that, folks, we're going to talk about Prize Picks. I'm in Pennsylvania, so I can't use Prize Picks at this current moment. But if you can use Prize Picks in an eligible state, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100 because Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. You can also get in on the basketball playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason, which begins April 20th, with the play-in round beginning April 16th. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that is promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100 at Prize Picks, where you pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks. Alrighty, folks, welcome to the third and final segment of today's episode of Locked On Pirates here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where, again, it is your team, your Pittsburgh Pirates every day. The first show ever from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for your host, Ethan Smith, who is in Pittsburgh at the moment. Saw the snow outside, made me feel all nice and cozy inside, and very, very excited to see what tomorrow has to offer. Again, very excited to meet all of you tomorrow. I am not a shy person. I get on this show 5 days a week, talk to you guys about baseball, talk to you guys in the comments. Just come up to me and say hi. If you recognize me, just come say hi, hold a conversation. We'll have a beer together. We'll have food together. We'll talk baseball together, watch the game together. I'm very, very excited tomorrow. Harperman says, how well do you think Brian Reynolds is doing so far? I think he's on another level. I think Brian Reynolds has started the season very, very hot. He looks comfortable at the plate. Looks pretty comfortable defensively, if you also ask me. It actually has shown me a bit of comfortability defensively, so I think that's pretty nice as well. Unspoken leader of this team, I think. Obviously not a very outspoken guy. That's why I kind of say unspoken leader. So definitely something that I think is warranted this 5-1 start is how well Brian Reynolds has played. Not really a question, but I'm looking forward to seeing Skeens and JJ again. So am I. Seeing Jared Jones in person is going to be awesome. and then Skeens obviously right after that. Matthew Blodgett, is it too early to be concerned about Kutch? Yes, he is a notorious slow starter across his career. If you go look at his splits across his career in April and May, they're just not very good. He's a notoriously slow starter that usually picks up around middle of May, early June across his entire career. Don't be too concerned about it. I think he'll be just fine. CPT Hank Simmers. Has Domingo Herman pitched in the minors yet? I don't even see him listed on the AAA roster. I'm not sure yet if Domingo has pitched. I'll actually look that up for you right now. I don't think he's pitched so far this year. Let's see. In minor league baseball, I don't think he's pitched yet. No, he is not. Yeah, no, he hasn't pitched yet. He is listed as a AAA Indianapolis Indian on MLB.com, so he should be on the roster. Obviously, they haven't played a ton of games yet, and I do think that they're still working on some of the off-field things with Herman. So we'll definitely see what the Pirates decide to do moving forward there. David says, hope this Pirates game doesn't get delayed too far. Trying to watch the Pens crush my dreams tonight as well. Yeah, we the Pirates and the Penguins have a chance for a DC sweep today. Obviously, the Pirates in DC against the Washington Nationals, and the Penguins, of course, in DC against the Washington Capitals. Go check out Hunter Hody. He's doing a great job covering the Penguins as they're kind of keeping themselves in the playoff race. Harborman says, how well do you think our pitching staff would do against Team Shohei Ohtani? Just depends on what Dodger team you get. The Pirates have actually been a team that's played the Dodgers relatively well over the last couple of years, so you don't really know. I mean, it's one of those things that it just kind of depends on what bats show up for the Dodgers that day. It depends on what Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman show up that day. What Gavin Lux do you get that day? What Max Muncy do you get that day from the Dodgers? That's really what I would consider that there as well. To wrap this up, guys, go ahead and get some final questions in for yourselves because I have to prepare to be on the Pirates fan forum here in about an hour, and also keep track of when this game is going to start. But again, super excited to see everybody tomorrow. Again, on the show tomorrow, I'll be talking about where I'll be. I'll also be posting it on Twitter. I'm going to probably post again where I'm at. It won't be much of a secret. So again, if you guys see me tomorrow, please just come say hi. Just come say hi, hold a conversation with me, come shake my hand. I want to meet all of you. This is my fourth season covering this team. This is the first time that I'm really pretty big in the podcast world and the Pirates community and going to a game. It's the first one I've went to in 3 years. So at PNC Park. So I'm very, very excited for that. So hopefully you guys all come and stop by. Harper Man with a last minute question. Who is a potential MVP candidate on our team? Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz. And if Ke'Bryan Hayes keeps hitting the baseball like he is, especially with the defense, I think you have to throw Hayes in that conversation as well. But folks, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Sorry that it came out later in the day today. Got it at about 9, ate some breakfast, and then took a nap that turned into a pretty lengthy nap today. So thank you guys for all tuning into this live edition of Locked On Pirates, of course, brought to you by eBay Motors, Game Time, and Prize Picks. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan or at Locked On Pirates for all of your news, analysis, and opinions on everything going on in the world of the Pittsburgh Pirates. The show is free and available to you on YouTube and all of your audio platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. I'll see you on the Pirates fan forum in about an hour. I'll also see you tomorrow for Pirates opening day here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But until then, folks, I'll see you on the flip side.